We are live.
We're live.
We are live. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us, whether you're here live with us or you're catching the replay. Happy World Gratitude Day. I'm
Woo!
your host, Lou Perica, and today joining us is gratitude expert and coach Noah McIntyre. You're going to love Noah's energy, his spirit, his authenticity. So, welcome, Noah. We're thrilled to have you, especially here today on World
Oh,
Gratitude Day.
thank you so much, Lou. It's such a
So, we've been
joy,
trying to put
pleasure,
this
honor to be
together.
with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've been trying to put this together, so it's just so awesome that it happens to be today. I think it worked out beautifully because we were going to actually do this, whatever, a month or so ago.
yeah.
So, Noah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then maybe you can tell us how discovergratitude.org came to be.
Absolutely. So, first of all, I just want to say, thank you so much for all your joy, your kindness, your compassion, your enthusiasm for my work, for the work of the people in your group, for just all the people you interact with in general. So, that is my gratitude for you to get us started off with.
And
And, you know, my gratitude practices started as early as when I was a little kid, and my dad was teaching me to meditate. He was a very devoted Tibetan Buddhist, and grew up in a Christian family full of prayer, and has been infusing these kind of spiritual practices into my life since an early age. And
amazing.
you jump ahead into my early career in like sales and marketing, and I was exposed to organizations like Send Out Cards, which is a big promoter of gratitude, and learning how to appreciate and recognize people in my role in Business Network International as the market development manager. And I've attempted to bring gratitude practices just naturally into every different thing that I've done. It's just a part of who I am. And growing up in a family where gratitude and appreciation and kind of loving kindness meditations were something that I grew up with very fortunately, it just became kind of part of who I am. So as I grew up and kind of moved into my career and more in the business world, I always looked for ways to practice it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember. I don't know, something, maybe I was on one of your Facebook group calls, but when you were explaining how you grew up with this atmosphere, this environment, I just thought, my God, how blessed, because that was not my environment. And I'm sure
Yeah.
it's not most people's environment. Not, some people are very fortunate to have had that kind of environment. So this is probably why your authenticity comes through, because this is who you are. This is who you are. This isn't something you learned. This is something and someone that you have always been. And
Yeah.
trust me when I tell you, I just want to let people know. So I haven't even really met Noah person to person. I first met him, if you will. I was looking for BNI or something like that, a group, and I remember seeing his email signature with his picture. And that picture with that huge smile just spoke to me. And I remember writing, I just can feel your energy through our emails. That was awesome. And then fast forward, I don't know how many years, 10 years, I don't know how long it's been. We reconnected, and instantly I felt very comfortable talking with you. I felt like it was an old friend. So I just, so kudos to you. That's why I think people are really going to enjoy your authenticity and where the background story is from. So today, I think, can you give us a couple of examples of your gratitude coaching?
Absolutely. And just to kind of go back to where some of these practices came from,
Okay,
you
yeah.
know, here I was in Business Network International. I was a member, I was promoting gratitude coaching and practices, and along came the pandemic.
Ah,
And so we got a group of us together, and what happened was we started writing thank you cards, gratitude cards, and gifts to the local EMTs, nurses, doctors, first responders. We just got together in a group and said, let's do something from home that we could do as a group of business professionals. And then we started sending those out, and we started meeting weekly. And then we met one day, March 18th, and then we just kept meeting day after day after day. And it became more than just reaching out in gratitude and kindness to people who are helping us in our community. It also became a place for us to support and stay connected through the pandemic. So some of the practices that I call gratitude coaching.
Oh, you froze. Sometimes we have this issue. Well, we're grateful for the internet, and we're grateful that it's all
To
going.
give you
There you go. You froze for a minute.
Okay. So it came meeting 2 years. And so the practice I'm going to share with you came from the group and figuring out how to express our. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now,
A little bit choppy.
At the same time, though, I was working one-on-one with a client, a close client, who said these practices closer to my son and my family. And so these practices were used for her as an individual as well as a group. So I'll give you an example of some of the practices, and then we can actually practice one of them based on what you decide. So I'm just going to read a couple of practices to you, okay?
Okay, yep.
So there's the gratitude post-it exercise, creating your own gratitude question, the gratitude card and letter exercise, your gratitude journal, your gratitude mirror practice, and your grateful heart poem, and the gratitude fun meter and the gratitude alphabet practice. So which one popped out to you today?
Well, a couple of them, but since I have my clients do mirror work,
yes,
I would like to do the mirror work one.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so this is a really powerful practice, and it's actually the one practice that has helped me the most when things get the most difficult and the most challenging.
Okay.
Now, for many people, who are taking care of parents who are aging, you may have found yourself in an emergency room situation, in very high stress situation. If you're taking care of a healthcare matter, this came in really handy for me. When you're dealing with a stressful situation of taking care of two parents with Parkinson's. And sometimes when you're dealing with the stress of that, it helps to have a place to return to, a gratitude practice to return to. So this is something you can do in a bathroom when things seem to be like they're falling apart and you just need to return to gratitude. It can also be a place to uplift yourself before a meeting. So this is what it looks like. We all have a cell phone. And so what I'm going to have you do is take out your phone and turn on the camera. You know that part where you can look at yourself in the mirror of sorts?
I actually have a mirror app.
You have a mirror app. Okay, perfect. So for someone who has a mirror app, this is great. And then if you have if you have your, you can turn your phone camera around, okay? And the way this works is you actually take a moment with yourself and you look in the mirror and you think about one thing you're grateful for about yourself. So just take a moment. If you're here with us live, you can take a moment and take out your phone or take out a mirror in your pocketbook or your purse and just take a moment and be with yourself and think about one thing you're grateful for about yourself. Okay, so you got that thing, Lou?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so do you want to share first or I'll share? Which do you want to share?
Yes.
Okay, so the thing that I found out that I'm grateful for about myself is my resilience. and
Mm.
the way that I keep going in life, right? Keep going forward, and how I wouldn't be able to do that without my gratitude practices. What about for you? What's the
It
thing
is
that came to your
almost
mind?
spot on. It's the same
Yeah,
thing. So it kind of was two things, but they're
yeah,
really both one and the same. So one is my attitude.
yeah,
I I always want to have and show up with a great attitude and to be able to handle hard better.
yeah,
And that takes an attitude, and it takes being aware of what's going on, right? And really, again, going back to gratitude, what is good in your life? And there's so much to be thankful for. And I know ever since I started not just practicing gratitude, but living gratitude, right? We talk about this all the time, you and I.
yeah.
I live it, I live it, I live it. And I'll tell you, I haven't had a bad day. I can't remember when. I may have had a moment or two, but not a whole day. So I think just like you with resilience and whatever the situation that's going on, it is what it is.
Hmm.
And then reflecting on what there is to be thankful for. Yeah.
Yeah. In the most difficult situations, even if you're having one of those stressful moments during a bad day, if you can get yourself in front of a mirror
Mm.
and look at yourself and just think about one thing, it could be, I'm grateful that I'm still alive. I'm grateful that I'm still breathing, right?
Yeah.
That just to be grateful for our lives is a very powerful practice. And you also shared something about, how do you deal with difficult situations? So there's another practice that I'll share with you, which is
Hmm.
the gratitude post-it practice. Have you ever gotten in the car and you know you're going to go to a meeting? It might be with a business associate or a client, and you're concerned that they might be a challenging person to interact with. Okay, so what you do is you keep some post-its in your car and you write down at the beginning of the drive, here's something that I'm grateful for. And what it does is it helps to calm you down before you get on the road so you can be more centered and more focused as you go on your drive and you get to your meeting. That's a really powerful practice. One of the things that they found in building the kind of long-term relationships with gratitude is a very powerful practice that's also been shown in our research. I did my master's in gratitude practices, essentially in social science research. If you can write a card or a gratitude letter to someone, it could be one of your friends that you were talking to me about, or it could be a client or a person that's important in your business life, and actually write them a letter about what you're grateful for about them, it can have a dramatic deepening of the relationship, as well as it has a positive effect on your health, your overall mood, and your outlook on life. We discovered that 90% of the people who participated in our research discovered that it increases their mood, their outlook, and just their overall sense of well-being.
Yeah, for sure. And this is what we were just talking about. Having gratitude and being grateful for the people in your lives or the things in your life or your pets, just to keep it within you, you need to express it. You need to,
Yeah.
this is all part of gratitude. It's expressing. So if I love someone or I'm grateful for someone or doing whatever it may be, if I don't express that, they're never going to know, right?
Yeah.
But when you do express it, it's so nowadays, well, most people don't express because they're afraid of they're gonna maybe they're embarrassed, they don't want to get hurt, right? So to be able to be bold enough and have courage to express your emotions to someone, you're being very vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that person will never forget that because
Yeah.
it's not an everyday occurrence.
Yeah.
And how many of us can remember someone that said something to us wonderful? We can remember the bad things, right? But how many of us can look back and we really remember when someone took the time to write us a lovely card or a lovely note or do some lovely gesture. It's like, wow. But if we could all do that more often, I know I feel amazing. And I tell people now, see, I never told people before because I felt too vulnerable, right? Like those were my emotions. I'm going to keep them to myself. But when I express them, now I'm letting others get comfortable. Maybe in the beginning it's uncomfortable because I know
Mhm.
for me, when someone would express something like, oh, now my friends and I, we all tell each other, I love you. I love you. It's crazy. I would have never said those words before. But now I
Yeah.
want to express it because I have to. The words just come out because I feel so good. Yeah. So
Oh,
science,
that's
yeah, the
wonderful.
science backing, right?
Yeah, the science backs that actually increases your dopamine,
Yeah.
serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, norepinephrine. This is all the good mood, happy hormones. And when you feel good, you do good. Now, we talked about a gratitude practice for yourself with a mirror exercise, and we
Mhm.
talked about writing a letter and sharing that letter with someone that you care about.
Yeah.
One of the other things that you and I had talked about is how do you discover gratitude for yourself when you're thinking about another? So let
Mhm.
me give you an example.
Sure.
So, Lou, earlier in our conversation, I got to appreciate you for your kindness, your enthusiasm, your believing in me, and your cheerleading me, right? And I said thank you to you for that. Now I see that in you, which is an indicator that I may actually have that quality in myself.
Hmm.
So every time you express gratitude, remember there's a giving and a receiving. There's a giving and a receiving. And in our culture, we're very focused on giving, which is important to give selflessly and generously. So
Hmm.
I give you a compliment, which goes to you. But remember that my ability to see your generosity, your kindness, and your enthusiasm is also a reflection, possibly, of something I see in myself. And the more that I can appreciate my generosity and kindness and enthusiasm for you, the more I can give it to you.
Mm.
And that's in a very powerful giving and receiving. That cycle of giving and receiving in gratitude is what keeps gratitude going.
Mm. I'm glad you used the word receiving. So it's taking me a while and it's still a learning process to be a gracious receiver. Um, Maybe many people can relate to this. You give. When someone gives back, oh no, you don't have to do that. Oh no, that was not necessary. And what I've learned is when someone pointed it out to me this way, when you say no, thank you, you don't have to do that, you are robbing somebody of the joy of giving. And when I realized that, even though the receiving still for me, because again, we're talking decades of kind of denying receiving graciously. Um, but when I learned that we're actually robbing somebody of the joy of giving, okay, I've learned now to just take a deep breath and accept. It's a learning process for me. For me, it was a learning process, and now I just receive and I say thank you because it's like telling the universe, no, never mind. I don't need anything. I'm good, right? So the universe is expressing itself through the people. so so when you start to shift the way you look at it and understand that people it brings people joy to be able to give back. That was super helpful for me. So I'm glad you brought up the word
Absolutely.
receive.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. I would like to share one more practice with your
Sure.
group
Sure.
and also give a couple of book recommendations if people want to go deeper into this for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So now one of the most powerful practices and tools that we used in the gratitude groups, particularly during the really most challenging times of the pandemic, is this question. It's a gratitude question. What are you not grateful for? And what are you grateful for? So if you think about a challenge that you're dealing with, there may be something in the challenge that you're not grateful for.
Okay.
So, for example, let's say you're not grateful that you get a cold, right?
Okay. Uh-huh.
But you could be grateful that you have a little extra time to rest. So that's an example of something that you're not grateful for, and you discover what you could be grateful for in that process.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does is oftentimes people, when they think of gratitude, they think of always being positive. And gratitude is not about positivity.
Mm-hmm.
It can foster positivity, but I want to give people the permission to be honest with their gratitude so they can discover more of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can say, I may not be grateful for this, but in this experience, I am grateful for this, you find a very balanced approach and way of thinking about gratitude. And one of the places I learned this practice of kind of this more balanced approach of gratitude is in this book called Gratitude Works. Gratitude Works is written by the most quoted professor on gratitude, Robert Emmons. And this is the book that I gave my client that changed her life when she wanted that closer relationship with her son. And in the back of this book, there's a 21-day gratitude journaling practice. It's a gratitude challenge. And one of the questions helps you deal with and overcome challenges in your life. So this is a very powerful book. There's some other books that I would go into more depth with, but I would start with that. Gratitude Works is a great recommended reading for people who want new ideas to go deeper into their gratitude practices.
Okay, Gratitude Works. That's
Yeah.
And so so you're a gratitude coach. I'm a
Yeah.
mindset mentor. So here's one of the things as you're speaking, as you're sharing with us, I can hear the things that I share with my clients. So one of the things is the law of polarity. It's a universal law. I didn't make it up. It's not because Lou said so. It's a universal law. So whenever you see something that you're not grateful for, but I am grateful for the time I can rest, right? You use the example of the cold. So it's really very similar to what we do. It's always look for the good. Because the law of polarity, if something is not good, there has to be by law something good. Although sometimes it may not be easy to see it at that moment. But
Right.
there is always a good, even with tragedies and calamity, all of the things that our mind can take us to, right? All disasters and everything. There's always, always, always good. So that's just like you were saying, it's to look for the good. Even though this may be happening, it is what it is. Look for the good, and that's the gratitude. What can I be grateful for? That's awesome. I love this. I love this. I love this. Thank you.
Lou, in the spirit of what you're sharing,
Yeah.
there's another book that I can't resist recommending, which is called The Book of Joy. And for many people may know the life story of the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu,
Okay.
but Desmond Tutu was one of the preeminent leaders in South Africa that helped the country overcome the apartheid. And the Dalai Lama, he escaped and has lived in exile for so many years. These two people, these two leaders, have experienced so many things that were tragic and not good. And in this book, they get together for a week, and it's an interview of all the good things they've discovered in that process. And
Absolutely.
it's amazing. There's a chapter on gratitude in there, and wonderful practices for how do you return to a place of joy and gratitude in your life. That's a
Mm.
fantastic book that our gratitude group has been using in our work we've done in senior living communities. We have this book. We use these practices with seniors in the Boston area, and that's really fun as we do our gratitude workshops and meditations. Yeah.
That's awesome. And just like we were talking about earlier, to raise your level of awareness. So just don't be grateful. Oh, I watched this, this interview today on World Gratitude Day, and then you go about your business. It's to raise your level of awareness, to be more aware every day of all the good in your life. But you have to be aware. It takes actual thinking. You have to be mindful because we're all on autopilot and we're just going through our day. So it actually takes effort to just pause. Maybe it's, you do it in the morning, you do it at night. I have an alarm on my phone that goes off every 3 hours that I stop and I say my goal, but that's all part of the gratitude as well. Because if not, sometimes this takes over, right? So I need an
Absolutely.
alarm to remind me, whoa, just take 2 or 3 minutes out of your day and just be quiet, be still, be grateful. It's like all these tools help us to be more aware, to be grateful for all the good in our lives. That's awesome. So, Noah, as
Lou,
we, oh,
can I just share one more bonus
of course,
exercise? Okay, because I don't want to forget this. You said something about mindset,
yeah,
and one of the things that gratitude works on is not just your mindset, but I call it your heart set. How do you reset your feelings in the middle of the day? Because
sure,
from our feelings and our thoughts come so many outcomes, right?
absolutely.
And so one of the things I wanted to give to you as a little gift and practice is when your alarm goes off in those 3 hours, just take your hand and put it on your heart
I
and
remember.
take a minute or two to just feel the beating of your heart and allow yourself to be grateful that we're alive together right now at this
Mm,
time. And you bring any sort of concern, worry, or stress, and you imagine it going into your heart. And just as you feel the beating of your heart, you say the word gratitude to yourself. And in our research that we came across at the Heart Math Institute, this practice has actually been shown to boost people's immune function. So
absolutely.
it's good for our mindset, our heart set, and our health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. I totally agree. So as we start to wrap up, do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us?
Express your gratitude,
Express your
and
gratitude. Yeah.
particularly gratitude for your parents. It's sometimes for people the most challenging place to express your gratitude, sometimes the most joyful, sometimes the most mixed place. But I find that being able to express gratitude for our parents is one of the most powerful practices that creates memories that will last a lifetime. I'll give
Mm,
you a quick example. When my father was coming towards the final months of his life, I wrote him a gratitude letter, Lou, about every single way that yeah, every
I did
single
it
thing,
too.
right, every single thing that he had done. And I was able to have him, come to the end of his life, right? He's living with Parkinson's, and I was able to kind of be at peace because I had said everything I was thankful for to him.
Oh my
And
God.
it created one of the most powerful memories in my life. So I just encourage people to use the practice, particularly with your parents and your close loved ones.
Oh my gosh. Noah, I
Yeah.
did the same thing. My
Yeah.
dad passed 31 years ago, and I wrote him a letter. and
Yep.
I wrote him a letter, um, just some of the memories that I had, to let him know I will always remember you. I will
Mhm.
always be grateful for when we did this, this, and this. These memories make up my life, right?
Mm,
So that I did the same thing. That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, definitely express it, because just keeping it to yourself, the other person will never know. So that's wonderful.
And, and Lou, support each other in expressing it. We have a gratitude group that's been growing now for the last few years too. We have 1,100 members, and if you go to discovergratitude.org on Facebook, you can join us and share your gratitude practices there. We would love to support you in that process. Love it.
Awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was just going to bring that up. So on the Facebook group, they can
Yeah,
join discovergratitude.org. They can just put that in the search bar, correct?
that's right. Discovergratitude.org, and that's also our,
Website.
the home website for our community as well. Yeah,
Awesome, awesome. So when we incorporate gratitude into our daily lives, we will start to notice amazing changes, right? We'll start to notice not only for what we already have in our life and the people in our lives, but also practicing gratitudes for things that have not yet come into physical form or into, right? So that's also being grateful. You're projecting, right? And so we do that as well. So, and again, it's pretty hard to have a lousy day when you're filled with gratitude. I
yeah.
just I that's what I find. And so, with that said, I want to thank you all for joining us. And remember to let someone know today that you are grateful that they are part of your life. And Noah, make sure everybody to check out Noah's Facebook group. And I know I've been on a couple of their gratitude sessions. They're amazing and the people are wonderful. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Or you can check out his website, also discovergratitude.org.
Thank you so much, and thank you for celebrating World Gratitude Day. And if you want to continue the celebration today at 5:45 p.m., we're going live in discovergratitude.org. Lou, thank you so much for your again, your kindness, your enthusiasm, and just your love for people. It makes such a difference in our lives to have you with
Thank you. And I feel the same way with you. I
us.
just adore you. I love your energy and again, your authenticity. Thank you so much, Noah, for sharing your time and your knowledge with us today.
Oh, thank you.
All right, we'll
Thank you,
talk
Lou.
soon.
All
Bye bye.
right, talk to you soon. Bye bye.